Ramus, the armadillo, old lore.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
This is like probably original lore of Ramus when he was released in beta. So
episode of Lore of League of Legends. In these next two episodes, we're going to be heading back to Noxus. Not to focus on the Noxians themselves, but two champions who once sided with Noxus on the fields of justice. This episode will be focusing on Ramus, the armadillo. Enjoy. The lands south of the Great Barrier Mountains are a deep contrast to the northern side of Valoran. While the lands of the great city-states have mostly been untouched by the Rune Wars, the south has been wrecked by chaotic magical storms that have caused vast changes in these lands. They have destroyed civilizations and pushed the lands back under the power of nature's rule.
The maps are different.
Many abnormal examples of fauna and flora are considered to be normal in those parts, from species that have never been seen before or animals that have gained sentience, to the abnormal growth of the plague jungles. Amongst that wide range of nature's creations, barely any of them inhabit Shurima Desert due to its harsh, hot climate. One of the few races that can survive in these extreme conditions.
Bro, we all know this is the bad guy from Mario, right? It's just too identical.
Are armadillos. While their talent for surviving hard conditions is exceptional, armadillos are just animals. They lead their calm, distinct lives looking for food and creating shelter for themselves, and protecting themselves with hard, heavy shells on their backs. One of them was different, however. Ramus was always a curious one, and for unknown reasons had left his kin, travelling further south through Kamungu to the plague jungles. The sight of the armadillo in these lands was a surprising one, but he was never a talkative animal. In the dark depths of the plague jungles among the twisted vines and maddened animals, Ramus came across something that was not unusual on the lands as rotten as this place was. He came across a healthy green hedge maze that stretched as far as he could see. Curious, he moved in to investigate and began to explore the maze. He felt as though something was calling him to the maze's center, and he eagerly followed to find out what it was. What he'd found was hard to describe. It was a light, the presence of something that he did not understand. But despite its mysterious nature, Ramus approached the light, feeling as it called him closer and closer. He couldn't resist a call for very long, and as he made his final steps towards the light, it surged right at him, blinding him instantly. He tried to fight it, but unable to.
But he couldn't hide it, and he knows, he wants to.
Just fell over, unconscious. When he awoke, things had become vastly different. The maze that he travelled through was gone without any trace left behind. And Ramus himself, well, he felt different. For the first time in his rather boring life, he was thinking. He felt aware of himself and what he could do.
Why does he look like a frog stuck in like an iceberg? Is that what armadillos are, frogs?
Hundreds of opportunities have opened up to him, and this thought was an unknown one. He began to panic, and at the same moment, the earth around him began to shake as a small earthquake that seemed to be centered on Ramus. It took him a few seconds to steady himself, but the earthquake was already gone. Confused and lost, Ramus arose and left the jungle behind him.
Ninja Ramus.
It was a weird place that he never wanted to visit again. He wanted to find more creatures like him, but every village he visited, in every settlement he ventured, people said that he was the only one they'd ever seen. Ramus has travelled across the lands, but as the odd one, is often scared away with pitchforks or spears of the local soldiers.
Aww, that's not nice.
Such events have inspired him to craft an armour that protects his chest, as his shell does from behind. This has earned him the nickname of Armadillo, that he's adapted since then.
Armadillo.
His travels eventually led him to the Institute of War, which was described to him as a place where all the unusual happens, and it seemed like the kind of place where Ramus would fit.
Armadillo.
He was quickly invited into the ranks of the League, where he was noticed by representatives of Noxus who admired the Armadillo's strength.
Oh.
Ramus has often sided with the more numerous conflicts, but sometimes he just refuses to do so. His reasons remain unknown, as Ramus is still a creature of very few words.
Okay.
And that's all I've got for you this time around. Let me know what you thought of it.
Again, kind of whatever story, basically. Again, like most of these super old, I think that when they made these like super old champions, they want to develop them through the journal that they released back then. But because they stopped the journal and they didn't really expand on all of the champions, some of them just got stuck with just like a non-lore kind of thing. Again, it's like, it explains how he got to Institute of War, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's a random collection of weirdos from random parts of the world, basically, at this point. I mean, well, if you think about League, I mean, technically it probably is, regardless, like, what the lore is. It is a collection of, like, weirdos. So yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, that is the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!